Welcome to another lesson for the Life in the UK test. Today we're diving into how British politics works. We'll look at how democracy developed in the UK, the structure of government, who holds power, various MPs, how laws are made, how elections function, and so forth. What even is democracy? Democracy is a system where the people have a say in how the country is run. This can happen directly, where citizens vote on each issue, or more commonly through representative democracy, where we vote for politicians to make decisions for us. In the UK, citizens also have the right to join political parties, campaign, and petition the government. In the early 19th century, the UK was not a democracy by today's standards. Voting was limited to men who owned property, leaving out the vast majority of people, especially women and the working class. Chartism, as mentioned in a previous lesson, was a working class movement for political reform in the United Kingdom that erupted from 1838 to 1857. The Chartists wanted reforms like universal male suffrage, the right to vote in political elections, and secret ballots. Have a look at the slide to view their other demands. Though dismissed at the time, most of their goals became law by the 20th century. As touched upon in a previous lesson, the right to vote widened gradually in the UK, but it was driven by campaigns and social pressure rather than automatic progress. Both suffragists and suffragettes, people advocating for the right to vote to be extended to more people, particularly women, played a key role in demanding women's political rights, with decades of protests and activism forcing Parliament to act. By 1918, most men and some women over the age of 30 who met property qualifications gained the vote. A decade later, the 1928 Representation of the People Act granted men and women equal voting rights at 21. Finally, in 1969, the voting age was lowered to 18, creating the system we recognize today. All elections in the UK are conducted under the principle of one person, one vote, and votes are secret. A constitution sets out the rules for running a country. The UK does not have a single written document like the US, but instead it relies on laws, customs, and conventions developed over centuries. Key constitutional documents in the UK include the Magna Carta, the Bill of Rights 1689, and the Acts of Union. The UK government is made up of several key parts that each play a distinct role, but they all work together. The monarch is the head of state. Their role today is largely ceremonial, but they remain important because no law becomes official without their formal approval, known as royal assent. Queen Elizabeth II held the longest continuous reign in UK history, reigning for 70 years and 214 days, from 1952 until 2022. King Charles III is the UK's head of state currently. While he doesn't make laws or run the government, he performs important ceremonial roles, advises the Prime Minister, and represents Britain abroad. Parliament is the UK's main law-making body and also plays a crucial role in representing the people and holding the government to account. It's made up of two chambers, the House of Commons and the House of Lords. Together, they debate major national issues, pass new laws, scrutinise government decisions, and investigate public concerns through committees. The House of Commons is the elected chamber, with 650 members of Parliament, MPs, each representing a constituency. MPs propose and vote on laws, raise issues on behalf of their constituents, and question government ministers. Because it is directly elected, the Commons holds greater power than the Lords. The largest party not in government forms the opposition, which scrutinises the government's actions and policies, with shadow ministers mirroring each government minister to hold them accountable. The House of the Lords is the upper chamber of Parliament. Its members, called peers, are mostly appointed and bring expertise from areas such as law, religion, business, and public service. Peers review and revise legislation passed by the House of Commons, offering detailed scrutiny and suggesting improvements. A small number of hereditary peers still remain, 92 in total, following the House of Lords Act 1999, which removed most automatic hereditary seats. Unlike MPs in the Commons, members of the Lords are not elected by the public and cannot vote on confidence in the government. The Prime Minister and the Cabinet lead the government. The Prime Minister is usually the leader of the party with the most MPs in the Commons. The Cabinet, a smaller group of senior ministers, each responsible for a major area such as health, education or defense, meet regularly, usually once a week, to coordinate government business and respond to national issues. Together, the Prime Minister and the Cabinet make key decisions, set policies, and ensure that laws passed by the Commons are put into practice. The civil service provides expert advice to the government and puts policies into practice. Civil servants are politically neutral, which helps ensure continuity even when governments change. Civil servants are accountable to their ministers, who in turn are accountable to Parliament. Local councils and devolved governments bring decision-making closer to people's daily lives. Local councils manage services such as schools, housing and transport in towns and cities. Devolved governments in Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland have their own parliaments or assemblies, which can make laws on certain domestic matters like health, education and the environment, while the UK Parliament keeps control of national issues such as defence and foreign affairs. Let's talk a little bit more about local governments, which refers to the councils that run services at a community level. They look after many everyday things that directly affect people's lives, such as running state schools, maintaining local roads, organizing rubbish collection and recycling, providing housing services, and offering social care for children, older people, and those in need. These councils are made up of councillors who are elected by local residents to represent their community and make decisions on its behalf. Local government is funded in two main ways: through local taxes, such as council tax paid by households and business rates paid by businesses, and through grants provided by a central government to support essential services. I also just mentioned devolved governments. So, since 1999, the UK has given more power to Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. This is called devolution. It means that these nations manage some of their own affairs, rather than everything being decided in Westminster. Devolved governments handle areas such as health services, education, transport, housing, and some aspects of law and order. However, the UK Parliament in Westminster still keeps control of key national matters, including defence, foreign policy, immigration, and the overall tax system. Each nation has its own system. Scotland has the Scottish Parliament in Edinburgh. The Scottish Parliament building officially opened in 2004. Wales has the Senate, the Welsh Parliament, in Cardiff. And Northern Ireland has the Northern Ireland Assembly in Belfast. These devolved governments allow more local decision-making while the UK Parliament maintains authority over the whole country. England does not have its own devolved parliament or assembly like Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland. Laws for England are made directly in the UK Parliament at Westminster by MPs. The judiciary and the police ensure that laws are upheld. The police maintains order and prevents crime, while the judiciary, independent from government, makes sure justice is done and that laws are applied fairly in the courts. Police and crime commissioners, PCCs, are not police officers. They are elected politicians who oversee the police in each area of England and Wales. Now let's take a closer look at MPs and PMs and elections. Sir Robert Walpole is generally considered the first British Prime Minister. 10 Downing Street in London is the Prime Minister's official residence. This famous black-fronted house has been the home of Prime Ministers since the 18th century. It is both a workplace and a symbol of government. General elections usually take place every 5 years, though they can happen sooner under special circumstances. To vote, you need to be on the electoral register and between 18 to 76 years old. Voters don't choose the Prime Minister directly. They vote for a local member of Parliament to represent a constituency in the House of Commons. In a general election, all registered voters in the UK can take part. As already mentioned, there are 650 constituencies, so 650 MPs are elected in total. Any UK citizen over 18 can stand for election as MP, unless they are disqualified, for example, members of the armed forces, civil servants, judges, or people convicted of certain crimes. Candidates must be nominated by a set number of registered voters in their constituency and submit a deposit, which is refundable if they receive enough votes. MPs are chosen using the first past the post system. This means that in each constituency, the candidate with the most votes wins, even if they don't have an absolute majority. Most candidates belong to a political party, such as Conservative, Labour, or Liberal Democrat, but some stand as independents. The big parties usually win the majority of seats. Once the results are counted, the party with the most MPs is invited to form the government. If that party has more than half of the seats, an overall majority, it can govern on its own. If no party reaches a majority, this is called a hung parliament. In that case, the largest party can either form a coalition government with another party to secure a majority, or form a minority government, governing alone but relying on support from other parties to pass legislation. A good example is 2010, when the Conservatives formed a coalition with the Liberal Democrats. The leader of the party that wins the most seats in the House of Commons becomes the Prime Minister. The monarch formally appoints them. The party with the second most seats becomes the opposition, formally called Her Majesty's Opposition. Their job is to challenge the government and suggest alternative policies. The opposition is led by the leader of the opposition, who chooses a shadow cabinet. This is a team of people who shadow each government minister, monitoring what they do and proposing alternative ideas in areas like health and education. Lobby and pressure groups are not part of government, opposition, or parliament, but they can lobby MPs, ministers, or local authorities to support policies. For example, business lobby groups, environmental groups, charity campaigns, etc. Now, let's have a look at the MPs of the 21st century. Labour returned to power in 1997 under Tony Blair, with a promise to modernise Britain. One of his major achievements was creating devolved governments in Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. Blair's government also played a key role in securing peace in Northern Ireland after decades of conflict. Internationally, Britain joined military campaigns in Iraq and Afghanistan. These were highly controversial at home because of the reasons given for intervention and the long-term consequences. In 2007, Gordon Brown became Prime Minister. He led the country during the global financial crisis, which was a very challenging time for the economy. In 2010, no party won enough seats to govern alone. The Conservatives, led by David Cameron, formed a coalition with the Liberal Democrats. This was the UK's first coalition government since the 1970s, and it oversaw austerity policies in response to the financial crisis. The EU referendum of 2016 dramatically changed Britain's direction. The vote to leave led David Cameron to resign. Theresa May struggled to deliver Brexit, and Boris Johnson took over, pushing through Britain's departure in 2020. The years following were marked by political instability and fierce debate over Britain's future. Obviously, the coronavirus pandemic had a huge impact on Britain. The country endured 3 national lockdowns, schools and businesses closed, and the NHS was under intense strain. The UK was one of the first to approve the rollout of a vaccine developed with Oxford University. Boris Johnson himself became seriously ill with COVID, highlighting the crisis' severity. After lockdown scandals referred to as Partygate, Boris Johnson stepped down in 2022. Liz Truss succeeded him, but her economic policies triggered financial chaos, forcing her to resign after just 49 days, the shortest premiership in UK history. Rishi Sunak replaced her, becoming the first British Asian Prime Minister. He focused on Brexit negotiations, the economy, and immigration. Keir Starmer became Prime Minister on July 5th, 2024, leading a Labour government after winning the general election. He succeeded Rishi Sunak and is the first Labour PM since Gordon Brown in 2010. Starmer's government focuses on economic recovery, public services, and workers' rights. He has also addressed immigration policy, workers' rights, and Northern Ireland relations. Here, a slide you can pause on to review the different MPs of the 21st century. And that brings me to the end of today's lesson on UK politics in the 21st century. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next lesson.